Hello, generations, young, old, and everyone in between. Welcome to Generation Apollo, where we don't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils. I am the voice of a generation. And today, I'm making this video now that the socialist/wannabe communist Bernie Sanders has officially suspended his campaign, thus leaving Joe Biden as the presumptive Democratic nominee. Now, when Joe first entered the race, I debated whether I should even bother making this video because I wasn't sure if he was going to win. But now that I know I've been proven wrong, I knew I had to make this video. Because for all of you millennials and Gen Zers out there who are thinking of voting Democrat, I'm here to tell you all why you should absolutely not vote for Joe Biden if you have any shred of self-respect for you or your generation. So why should millennials and Gen Z not vote for Biden? Is it because he's been known for getting, how do we say, a little too touchy-feely or a little too friendly with women and small children? No, that's not it. Yeah, I agree it makes him look creepy as hell, but we also know how the media likes to take things out of context and distort them to suit their own narrative. So, in the interest of fairness, I'm willing to give Joe the benefit of the doubt on this one. Now, is it because of the recent Me Too allegations? Well, that certainly doesn't look good on his part. However, unless there's hard evidence, it's extremely difficult to prove the allegations true, especially if they go back several years or even decades like they do in this case. And again, bearing in mind how the media likes to distort things. So, no, that's also not the reason either. Is it because of his noticeable mental decline? Well, that's definitely a major reason to not vote for him, that's for sure. But again, that's also not the ultimate deal breaker reason of why I refuse to vote for him. You see, back in January of last year, months before he announced he was running, he was doing a tour to promote his book called Promise Me, Daddy, which is pretty ironic considering what he said in an interview with the LA Times. So he was being interviewed in a town hall style setting in front of an audience, and someone asked him what his thoughts were on the millennials and college graduates who were worried about the future and how they were having trouble dealing with these tough times. And let's just say his response didn't sit well with me at all. And I hope that all of you millennials, Gen Z, and other young people will be just as disgusted and off-put as I was when you hear his answer. So let's have a look.
I only had two political heroes in my whole life. And this is not new. I've been said this since 1972. Dr. King and Robert Kennedy. And up to that point, there was a war raging. There was a bitter fight over even whether we should talk about the environment. Women were still viewed as second-class citizens and not prepared to have significant jobs, thought that. And we were told the people didn't talk to one another over the war. And we were told, drop out, go out to Haight-Ashbury, get engaged. Now, shortly after I graduated in '68, Kent State, 17 kids shot dead. And so the younger generation now tells me how tough things are. Give me a break. No, I have no empathy for it. Give me a break. Because here's the deal, guys. We decided we were going to change the world, and we did. We did. We finished the civil rights movement to the first stage. The women's movement came to being. So my message is, get involved. There's no place to hide. You can go out and you can make all the money in the world, but you can't build a wall high enough to keep the pollution out. You can't live where you're you can't not be diminished when your sister can't marry the man or woman or the woman she loves. You can't, when you have a good friend being profiled, you can't escape this stuff.
So there you have it, kids. This is what creepy Uncle Joe thinks about you. He has no empathy for the younger generations and says, give me a break? For real? Does this idiot not realize that millennials comprise about 40% of the voting population? That's a huge voting block that he just insulted. Because insulting people and still expecting them to vote for you is obviously a winning strategy. Just ask Hillary Clinton how well that worked out for her. And speaking of which, Joe's comments are right up there along with Hillary's basket of deplorables and Romney's 47% in terms of stupid comments that alienate large sections of voters that they need to win over if they ever want to have any hope of sitting in the Oval Office. And his comment about, quote, get involved? Someone needs to remind the senile old fool that it was my generation's vote that was overwhelmingly responsible for putting him and his buddy Obama in the White House. You could tell him, but I'm sure he'd probably forget about it in 10 minutes anyway. And what did my generation in America get in exchange for giving them our votes? Did we get the hope and change that they promised us? No, we got more business as usual. And did you hear how the audience laughed and cheered when he said that he had no empathy?
No. I have no empathy for it. Give me a break.
I guarantee you that audience was nothing but boomers. Comments like that will certainly score Mr. Biden some brownie points among all the other bitter boomer narcissists that hate young people as much as he does. Now, some of you listening might be saying, well, that's a silly and stupid reason to not vote for him, just because he scolded your generation. Right now, all that matters is beating Trump. No! That is not stupid! If you are running for public office, you have to win the trust of your constituents if you want them to vote for you. You have to show them how you're going to help them and make their lives better. I mean, do I really have to explain the obvious? Even the most corrupt and incompetent politicians know this. They know that even if they have no real intention of helping the people, they still have to pretend like they at least give a shit just to gain the public's trust. But not Mr. Biden. Nope. He couldn't bring himself to at least pretend to care, even if just for the cameras. His disdain for my generation is so great that it forced him to do something you almost never see politicians do, and that's be honest. Yes, he's known for being a gaffe master, but I'm telling you all right now that was no gaffe, and that was before he started losing his mind. That was Mr. Biden being 100% honest about how he really feels about the struggles of young people. And that is why I refuse to vote for him, because he's so arrogant he thinks he can insult my generation and still expects us to vote for him? Biden is the perfect visualization of the boomer generation in politics. Old, failing health, and out of touch with everyone else younger than them, yet still clinging to power until the very bitter end. So at this point, screw it, I'm voting for Trump, okay? I'd rather have Trump over him, okay? And look, I try to view Trump through the lens of reality. I don't think he's the god, king, emperor who's going to magically solve all our problems, but I also don't think he's the fascist in chief either. I think he's ultimately well-meaning, maybe a little ignorant on certain topics, and probably in over his head. But if he truly was a danger to our country, then he would have been removed already, okay? I'm sure of that. I'm still waiting for him to start World War III like all those shrieking lefties were claiming. And look, I know a lot of you out there don't like Trump. I get it. That's understandable because I don't always agree with everything he says and does either. Trump is also another narcissistic boomer who has plenty of his own character flaws. But I don't ever remember hearing Trump say that he had no empathy for my generation. And if he did say it, then at least he was smart enough to not say it on camera. But if you still refuse to vote for either Trump or Biden, then vote for a third-party candidate or write in whoever you want. Hell, vote for Harambe if you want. I don't care. Normally, I would tell you guys to just stay home on election day, but in this case, we really need to get every eligible young voter out there that we can, because the boomer establishment is going to pull no punches this time in their desperation to hold on to power. I just hope that the Millennials and Gen Z send the incompetent corporate democratic establishment a loud and clear message by denying them votes and serving them with yet another humiliating defeat. Because their arrogance and stupidity deserves it, even if the price means another 4 years of Trump. The fact that Biden won the nomination is proof that the Democratic establishment hasn't learned a damn thing from 2016. They could have spent the past 4 years reflecting on themselves and how their complacency set them up to lose so badly. They could have used these past 4 years to work on economic policy that benefits the working and middle class and put forth likable moderate candidates who might have actually had a chance of beating Trump. But no, instead they threw a royal hissy fit, wasted 2 years and God knows how much money on a Russian collusion investigation that turned up nothing. Then they tried to impeach him, but that also went nowhere, and all while trying to pander to the most rabid and insane lefties imaginable. But as much as I want to rip on Biden more, I do also have to admit at the same time that this whole situation is actually really sad and really messed up on the part of the Democrats. They're taking this old man who clearly is suffering a serious cognitive decline, and they're parading him in front of the cameras every other night, only for him to end up embarrassing himself in front of millions of viewers. And this is how he will be remembered, as a senile geriatric for us to laugh at. Whereas, if he had just stayed in retirement, he could have at least gone out with his dignity intact. But that is not to be the case now. What a sad and terrible shame. But perhaps the one thing that not only annoys the living holy hell out of me, but also proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that the Dems have learned nothing from their mistakes is how many of them keep on saying the one line that really gets my blood boiling, and that is, "It's not about policy, it's about beating Trump."
No! No!
No, 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 no! It is about policy, you idiots! It has always been about policy. Because having good policies is how you beat Trump. Trump is not the problem. He is a symptom of the problem. And the problem is that the establishment has failed miserably to address the concerns of the average American. The average American isn't worried about being politically correct. They're worried about the economy because many of them still haven't fully recovered from the 2008 recession, even more than a decade later. The average American has seen their wages stagnate and their quality of living go down over the past few decades. My generation will likely have a much lower standard of living than our parents did. But the establishment on both the left and the right has ignored these concerns, choosing instead to capitulate to big special interests and their money. And yet, the establishment still expects us to vote for them, even after all the failures and broken promises, because that's what we've always done. And now, after years of going back and forth between Democrats and Republicans, the average American has finally realized that what we need is an unconventional third-party candidate who isn't beholden to big special interests, which is what I've already been saying for years. That's why we have Trump. Because the average American is so frustrated with the establishment that they were willing to take a gamble on a former reality TV star. The establishment can no longer count on voters to be blind, good little sheep and just keep accepting progressively worse and worse candidates year after year. Trump is the result of what happens when we keep voting for the quote-unquote lesser of two evils. Well, I say it's time for society to stop arguing over whether establishment candidate A is more or less corrupt than establishment candidate B. But don't despair yet, Millennials and Gen Z. The good news is this will be the last year of boomer rule over the presidency. This will be the last election in which the boomer generation commands power over our government. So if Trump wins a second term, he'll be gone in 2024. Sanders, Hillary, and Biden will all be too old to run again, especially Biden if he'll even still be alive by then. But for now, millennials, this is our chance for our generation to once again make our voices heard the way we did when we voted for Barack Obama. This is our chance to make our voices heard and tell the corporate political establishment, no, we're done. You had your chance to win us over, and you blew it. And yet, I hear the establishment repeating the same tired line, and that being, just vote for us and we promise things will be different this time. We promised your generation hope and change, but gave you business as usual. But just vote for us again, and we promise it'll be different this time. You gave us a second chance, but we still failed to deliver on our promise and continue to lie to you. Please, just vote for us again, and we promise it'll be different this time. We still haven't changed our core message, nominated the most unlikable candidate imaginable, and lost to the big orange meanie. Vote for us again, and we promise things will be different next time. Now, we openly insult your generation without a single care as to what you think, but just shut up and vote for us one more time. Just vote for us one more time. Just vote for us one more goddamn time! And we promise things will be different this time. Well, you know what I have to say to that?
Give me a break.
And with that, I'll conclude today's video here. So, what do you all think? Do you think Biden has any chance of winning over the Millennial and Gen Z vote after saying that? I hope not. I hope every young person with any self-respect will share this video far and wide and help it go viral. Seriously, I want to see this video clip go viral. I want to see this clip come back to haunt Biden at some point during the campaign. Nothing would make me happier than to see that happen and watch the boomer-run Democratic establishment trip over its own feet trying to defend him. So, all you deplorables out there, you know what to do. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment, give it a thumbs up, and most of all, please remember to subscribe, like, and share the hell out of this video to help this channel grow. And lastly, don't forget to also follow me on BitChute, Minds.com, and Twitter. The links are in the description. So, thanks again for watching, and thank you for tuning in to Generation Apollo.